Hey everyone, welcome back to Coffee with Craner. Today I have Doris Lapico on the show. She's a realtor at the Real Group with Remax Capital Diamond, also on the Erie Shores Healthcare Foundation, helping with that, and which is really cool. She's also the co-founder of Transition to Betterness. We had a few members of T2B on here in the past, Amber Hunter, and I'm so excited to talk about the philanthropic work you're in and also real estate. So
yes,
thanks
you.
for being here.
Oh my God, I'm excited to be here.
Is this your first podcast?
It is.
Okay.
I wasn't going to admit it. I wanted to be a pro, but yes, it is my first. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, and we'll start just like we start every episode.
Okay.
Where's your favorite place for coffee?
Right here.
Right here?
Yeah, right here.
In Joe's office.
I know. You know what? I am so always running on the road that any drive-through that doesn't have the longest line is usually where I stop.
Yes, I agree. I'm not very patient, so I don't like waiting in the line.
Me too.
Yeah. So, no, very cool. What? We'll start with healthcare.
Okay.
And then we'll go into real estate.
Sure.
How did T2B start for you? Why did you think, hey, let's create this?
Right.
Would you classify it as a foundation?
No, it's not a foundation.
Nonprofit.
Nonprofit.
So,
yeah.
How did that all start?
You know what? I was in my early 20s, and I had my mother-in-law go through a bout of cancer then, and coming from a design world with Lapico Homes, we felt that the care was so amazing in the hospitals, but the actual structure of the hospitals needed help. The rooms needed help. So looking back at that time, it was a simple mission. It was refurbishing cancer patient rooms. Tanya Sorge, who becomes the co-founder with me, was my neighbor. Together, and she had lost her mother-in-law. Together we thought, why don't we just raise money and keep refurbishing rooms, which I think we've gone over 20 million later in dollars, and about 15 to 17 programs that we run right now. So you don't prepare yourself for those things in your 20s. I didn't wake up and it was this moment of we're gonna do this, but obviously there was a need in the community, and we had a lot of community support, which is great.
So looking back at the organization when it first started in your 20s, what did it look like back then? Was it, it was obviously very, very grassroots.
It was so grassroots, yeah. And it was great because here's these two young girls, and we're going into these board meetings at hospitals. They started taking us really serious because we were raising good money. At the time, Ron Foster, who's one of my biggest mentors, he took us serious, and he knew that we were that committed to making a change in healthcare. That at the time, it wasn't going towards research or health. It was literally creating a slushing machine for kids, or it was a very different approach. And it was the first time, I think, that the community was able to step into a hospital like that, which was really it was a milestone. I think for Windsor-Essex to go into these hospitals and make those changes at those levels.
And this would have been 1997.
That's right.
Did you ever see it, the nonprofit getting to the stage that it's at today?
No, and as a matter of fact, we were almost too young and kept it fun, if that makes sense, right? We just thought, well, let's do events, and we're having fun, and we started creating this momentum of, what turned out to be one of the best galas the city's ever produced. But,
yes.
We had such a big following, and Tanya and I, and with the committee again, because, we honored people in the community, and with that created this momentum of these honorees and the families, and something weird happened in that process. It created closure for families who had lost loved ones, and with that, the word kept just spreading and spreading into this grassroots charity that, looking back, I think it was a gift, and God willing, it happened to us, and we reap all the benefits, but no, we don't ever take credit for it. We stayed very humble through it. Yeah.
Excellent. And is the gala coming back ever?
I
went to the last one, very last one.
Yeah, it was such a fabulous night. The last one, it was just as magical as the first one, and I think there'll be a reboot. I think there will be. I think that's part of it, and part of the build up to do it again, for sure.
I'm just ready to wear a bow tie.
I know, isn't that fun? I know, I agree.
And now, fast forwarding to real estate, what made you interested in this field?
So interesting. I went to university in Italy and I had finished back. So design was my background. I love design. Came back from Italy. I was born in Switzerland. So, you know, first generation of, you know, family and how important a house was to my father as an immigrant when he came here, right? And I'll never forget when we bought our first home and what it felt like for the family. We just thought we made it.
Yeah.
And it always stuck with me, right? And, you know, the design part came in because obviously with Lapico Homes, third generation now, my son's running that company. I felt that, you know, I started doing their design work. We were featured in House and Home magazine, which was amazing. We were on HGTV. This is going back to 2002, but I needed more of it. And I started looking at homes in general as this way of potential. And I had such a passion for people. And at the same time, the homes became an extension. So I thought I'd get my license, and it was the best thing I ever did. I love real estate.
And then you recently started the Real Group.
That's right.
How did that all happen?
So actually, my business partner, Matt Bigley, and his wife come from a design world as well. And Matt was an investor, and they were flipping homes, and I was their agent. And I loved working with him and his family, and with Leslie. And I was always looking for a partner that kind of balanced myself because I'm such a visionary. I stay connected in the community. I just love all that stuff. I actually love when you called it the heart of real estate because there is such a heart. I always go with my heart first in any transaction. Matt is amazing in terms of he's a researcher. He loves to learn about real estate. He knows every trend, every stat, and together with my community work, we're so deeply connected. I think at the end of the day, we both share the same core values, which is great.
And was building a team always something you had in mind?
You know what? It's so funny. I don't think about this. It's just like transition to betterness.
Yeah.
I think it fell on my lap with Matt being, because I always ran with assistants. I always had a really healthy office space. But I never thought I wanted to work with another realtor, although I love collaborating with realtors all the time. I think that, you know, we always focus with vendors and buyers. My focus has always been my peers and relationships through real estate. I think that I needed to leave and mentor. You know, I've worked at the University of Windsor, mentoring MBA students, and I thought I should be mentoring in real estate. I didn't want to coach because I loved the street value of real estate.
Yes.
I thought that's not me, but
You
if
enjoy
I
being
could,
on the road.
I enjoyed doing that, and I enjoyed the mentorship of creating a team, I think, more than anything. So very boutique style, not too big, where I had hands-on with the team. Yeah.
And would you say your team specializes in luxury listings?
So that's great, Lyndon, that you asked me. That was a big reason why I wanted to almost debrand myself from that, because I was known for such a luxury realtor, and I love that, by the way, but luxury to me is more of a feeling. It's an experience. It's not so much the budget, and I didn't know how to break that, even though I was blessed to have that. So I think with my team, you know, it was making sure that they understand the experience of luxury and what the feeling is like. I remember, you know, when my dad bought his first home off Erie Street, that was luxury to us, right? Like, so I never forget that, the pride and ownership of a home. And I never, whether it's a first time buyer, having that moment, that feeling, that is luxury. So I think for building a team in that, I think that we're trying to stay focused as well on the openness of staying approachable in every term of luxury.
Yes, absolutely. How have you been enjoying having a team?
Oh, I love it.
I know it can be difficult at times.
Yeah.
Versus being independent on your own, right?
Yeah, I love it. I think there's a story with the team, and I always say the core values align. Like, I look at Madison, she's one of my co-chairs for the Drive to Survive, right?
Yes.
I've known her dad so well. You know, I push community involvement with both Sam and Fatima and Matt. So I think together, like, we all believe in those same things, and that's important to me. It really is.
And in real estate in particular, it's a service that you provide to clients. And what do you believe allows a realtor to stand out on their own? Because you've built a very successful career in the industry, and for any young agents that may be watching.
Yeah, sure.
What would you advise them on? Because you mentioned you enjoy mentoring, and maybe what's some things that you share with your team?
I always think you need to stay humble, and I use that word approachable. I think that I'm very mindful of what I sell, and I'm not what I'm selling. I know that people will call me, but I truly take the value of the home and make that home stand out. I think that especially in today's real estate market, you're going to see a lot of marketing. You're going to see a lot of that, right? And a lot of times you forget what they're selling, right? So I just say stay grounded to what you're selling. Stay true to who you're representing, right? Whether it's a buyer, whether it's a vendor, the business comes because of the referrals. And I think that if you really give it your all, and sometimes the deals don't happen, especially we're looking at today's markets, right? We're coming up from that panicked market where everything was happening so quickly. This is a market that's actually, yes, it's slower, but at the same time, it's so healthy in relationship building, because this is when you will have the clients for the rest of your life, right? So this journey right now is really important to a lot of new agents if they can see their way through it.
Would you say it's a buyer's market or a seller's market?
Oh, I love that. For me, and it goes back to certain years in this industry, and I've been doing it for a while. I think if you're staying in Windsor, you're just trading. You're selling high and you're selling low, and you're buying high, or you're buying low and you're buying high. I think that this is a time that you're trading. I think that it's a great time to buy. I really do. I think sellers are more negotiable right now.
Yes.
And I feel that things in the city's growing in so many ways. We're seeing it through hospitals. We're seeing it through the bridge. Like, we're geographically in one of the best locations that I just think this is the best time and the best place to invest.
And speaking of hospitals, can you talk to us about your work with Erie Shores? Yeah,
well, they're expanding. And like I said, like, I'm so passionate about healthcare. Like, I feel like I want to just fix everything and expand. But I think with Erie Shores, what I love about it is they're really looking at these preventative wellness measures, expanding, whether it's a new MRI, new diagnostic things. I think that they're trying to, speed up these waiting lists. And the fact that this beautiful hospital is only like half hour away, I think that that's really good. So I was really excited to be able to help them. And I know that they're looking at oncology, which fits my mission statement as well, and expansion there. So it's a lot of fun to be able to see it grow.
And you mentioned mission statement. That's obviously something very important to you in your philanthropic work, but also in real estate, having that mission? Yeah,
it is. And it's funny because I'm going to take whatever, I've always looking, what is my mission? I know the core values and I get all that, but I think it was funny when you set your socials out on this episode, you said the heart of real estate. And I'm like, I should be using that. And it was that simple. I said, that's almost like everything so simply in what I really believe. Yeah. So the heart of real estate.
It's all yours now. I give it to you.
Thank you.
As
I
a gift.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that. I love it.
What's next for the Real Group? What are some exciting things you have in store that you can share?
Oh my goodness. I love this. I am dying to start trading in Europe, in Italy especially. Obviously, I said I finished my schooling there. We came as immigrants. I know there's a lot of immigrants, especially in this community, that left a lot of property in some of the most beautiful places in Italy. I'm with RE/MAX, so I'm blessed to be with RE/MAX. They're like a family. My broker Albert's amazing. But part of like being able to trade overseas is being with a national brand like that. So I'm looking at those really options. Cool. I really want to. Matt lets me dream and believe, but right now we're staying focused on what we're doing here, and we've grown a lot in 5 years. We've definitely grown a lot, and there's still a lot of work to be done.
Would you have to relocate there, or would you like almost open up your own shop?
No, because I sold in Miami. That's the beauty of like being a realtor in a brand like RE/MAX or anything that's national. You can definitely trade in different places. You align yourself with agents over there, and I'm bilingual in Italian, and a lot of time it creates trust. Like I said, I share their language, right? So and when I owned in Miami, it happened again, right? Where because I owned there, a lot of people knew, well, you know the areas, you know what you're doing there. So, you know, I traded in Miami for a while as well. So
I like how you call it trade. I've never heard of that before. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially in this market, it is a trade. You're not.
A trade. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
No.
It's probably some of the biggest trades we do, and I love real estate because it's always tangible. I understand it better than sometimes trading in different ways, right? But I think it's a healthy portfolio to have in real estate.
Yes, absolutely. Any final pieces of advice you'd share? Maybe I like to ask this question a little bit is, if a young Doris Lapico walked through the door, what would you tell her?
Oh my goodness. So, you know, that balance of health, work, all of that, like find the balance through, it's okay to wear different hats. And a lot of, especially when you're networking, especially when your job is demanding in the network, make things align. So for instance, I met some of my best donors are also my clients and then become my friends. Yeah. So it's not, oh, I got to make time for this or I got to make time for that. It just all kind of comes together as this major nucleus, like this beautiful way of, I don't know, it's not that hard. Yeah. That's what I don't find it difficult. I find it very natural, and people can say, well, that's a gift to you, but I honestly don't. There's times I get really frustrated, but at the end of the day, you just sigh and look back, and it feels good. It just all feels good.
It's a really cool perspective, and I haven't heard that advice on the podcast yet, is like, if you can somehow mash what you're passionate about together,
that's right.
You live a life with a career that is meaningful to you, and it's not a job.
That's right.
It's a career, right? So,
that's right. That's right.
That is really cool.
And you know, the other thing with that, you realize how you can connect the dots, right? I think that, you know, we all talk about purpose in our jobs and finding that. I think it has to have meaning, and you know, it has so much meaning because real estate is full. It's a privilege to be allowed in someone else's life. Absolutely. They choose you to do that. That trust element, like, to me, is so important. And then take it to healthcare, when you see people at their most, you know, where they need, and you want to help them so much. All that comes together. It's surprisingly the most beautiful way. And that's what I love about my job the most. And that's what I say, find that connection. It's there. You don't have to go too far.
The heart of real estate.
There you go. There
awesome.
You go.
Well, thank you so much for your
time,
time, Doris.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is your first podcast.
That's right.
I'm glad it was on.
And I chose you. No,
yeah.
I think you do wonderful things for the community, and
we're
blessed to have young leaders like you. So thank you.
Thanks,
appreciate
everyone.
That.
And
thank you.
Visit coffeewithcrainer.com if you want to rewatch the episode, or be sure to contact Doris Lapico if you have any questions, or the Real Group.